Transformation. It's a word that carries weight, invoking images of evolution, change, and sometimes survival. As a tattoo artist for over 30 years, transformation is a daily practice. My practice on others, right? But I'll tell you something, my most recent and most intense journey of transformation came from a place people don't usually associate with tattoos, the Riviera. When I first arrived at the Adriatic Riviera nation of Montenegro as the guest of a client, I was filled with the usual feelings of adventure and naivete. In New York, I had seen firsthand why there's more artists per square mile in the Hamptons than anywhere else in the country. Why? Proximity to high-value individuals, huh? Right? When I came to the beautiful Balkan coast and discovered that it was a third of the cost of the Hamptons, and even Monaco, secured my ambition to open a tattoo studio there. Now, I knew I had something to offer, but I was not prepared for how hard I would have to fight to be taken seriously. While I was familiar with the post-war economy's corruption culture, my first experience rubbing up against that underbelly was, to say the least, intense. One crazy night, I found myself in a position where I had to fight for respect the hard way. I got my ass kicked by a mafia guy. No joke. Now, that is an experience that would send most people packing, and rightly so. But for me, I saw it as a challenge. I saw this as survival, and as a point I wanted to make that I'm not just some foreigner trying to make a quick mark. So I did what I do best. I gathered up my portfolio. 30 years of my best work. Tattooing became my language, and with it, I reached out to these high-ranking mafia captains and gave them an offer they couldn't refuse. Yeah? That is high-quality, world-class craft that would wow the Eastern Bloc for life. So that began a journey of transformation. Within 3 years, I rotated back to the Balkans, not as an outsider, but as an entrepreneur under the protection of these powerful figures. This protection wasn't just a shield, it was a pathway to something much bigger. Eventually, I found myself in a position where, against all odds, my crew and I could pay off the bosses and legalize tattooing in Montenegro. Now, this victory was not just about the law. This was about changing the cultural narrative. You see, tattooing has deep roots in the Balkans, where for centuries, tattoos were used as marks of protection. During the Ottoman invasion, Christian women and children wore tattoos on their necks and their hands, sacred symbols inscribed to ward off abduction and rape by these invaders, superstitious invaders. So this art was not just about the tattoos, it was about identity and resistance and survival. Now, when Tito came into power, this legacy fell away due to persecution. But upon discovery and examination through my ink and blood-splattered lens, ladies and gentlemen, I sought to reconnect Balkan identity with these ancient symbols, long buried, a language that could unite them in the modern diaspora with which they find themselves. This vision led to the Marks of Protection campaign, which is a body painting and photographic initiative that will make its debut at Art Basel Miami in December with Zurich-based Art Talk magazine. With this initiative, we reached out to UN charities like England's Madai Trust, who work with victims of modern human trafficking to cover the traumatic tattoos that pimps execute on their victims nowadays, covering these tattoos with symbols of joy and growth and renewal. So marks of protection wasn't just about the tattooing and the art. It taught me about how much tattoos have protected me. The art that shielded others for centuries now shielded me. For me, transformation is not just about change in the world, change in yourself. It's about holding your ground, using your art to empower and to protect and to transform for good. Thank you.